Hello to viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're going to talk about ethics part 2. So let's dive deep into it. So first thing you have to understand, ethics is a complex system. So what does that mean? That simply means it's a learned behavior. You cannot just teach it someone. You will have better luck teaching someone trigonometry than to teach ethics. So why is that? Well, our life is very complex. Life by its nature is ludicrously complex. What does that translate to? What does that mean? That simply means you will rarely or if ever gonna get a clean binary decision, meaning do this, this is right, meaning do this, this is wrong. That's rarely happens. That happens in cinema, but in real life there's always what you call a messy decision, so to say, a pro and con, if you will. So that creates a very serious scenario where every single freaking choice you make has some pros and some cons. Even sometimes you will like, hey, you should never indulge in yourself, like, it's a bad thing to do. But here's the deal, if you never did that, if you're like, there are some places, some people who did that, and I actually did that, and that ruined my childhood, where it's like, dude, I should have enjoyed it. Like, you have to enjoy time to time, as they say, smell the roses time to time, because you will be a very resentful person, because at the other end there is just death, nothing else. So if that's why every single decision, even if you be like, you should always be absolute, nah, you have to balance it out. So pros and cons need to be balanced. And ethics is a very complex system, because again, because of that complexity, it is not very simple. It's like this or that, or like a roll a dice or something like that. So it's because very situation dependent, meaning you can take a situation, give it to different time, and the situation will change. Take that same situation, do it to a different person, it will change, because it's very situation dependent and very personal. How would one individual will handle that situation? It's completely based on that individual's ethics core. So fundamentally, that's why we call it's a learned behavior. You cannot teach it, only be learned. It's like throwing a book at someone when they are drowning, and it's like, hey, that's a 101 how to swim. It's not gonna work. This statement is a very poignant way of saying that. Is like, I cannot teach anybody anything, I can only make them think. So it's a very critical thing that you must understand. And if somebody asks, like, what's the point of schooling? Because once you clear the exam, your brain flushes all the information away. So what was the point? Well, there's one genuinely good point in school system, is that you do learn behavior. If you go into a good school where teachers are setting a good example, and all the seniors are setting a good example, majority of students that's going to get out of them is going to be sorted in life. Now, I do not mean sorted as in like filthy rich people. I mean sorted as in like they're gonna be fine. You're gonna get a vibe with them that they may not be the richest, or they may not be the poorest, but they're gonna be fine. And why does that happen? Learned behavior. And this is where you learn how to deal with people of your own caliber, so to say, because again, children has this issue where parents are too above them, and nobody else is of the same level. Where do you get the experience to build that? Schools. That's the one good thing about schooling, where it allows same age people to really build each other, and then they collectively grow, and year by year. And if you have good example, good ethos in a school, output could be genuinely good. And again, that's why I said, like, your parents' behavior directly copy pastes into your child. That's the whole point of it. It's a learned behavior. How your father handles your anger, how your mother regulates her emotion, all those things directly copy paste into a child. So again, it does get mixed, and like, proportions change, but the core property always remains the same. It's a learned behavior. And once you learned something wrong, it's goddamn impossible to undo it. So it's like, it's basically like having a hardware level bug that you have to write a software to patch it, so to say. It never goes away. So it's very important to have good learned behavior. If you have messy situation, gotta help you. So what is the first tool that we implement? First tool is mirror, meaning humans have this mirror neuron. Now, be mindful, this is known, sorted, verified. We know that this exists. And we know that allows human child and adult to mimic. What does mimicking means? Think in this way. A baby is there. Now, how does a baby know that a mother is happy? Like, it's looking, but it does not have a processing algorithm. Basically, the software code is not complete yet. It's under construction. But there is a sort of, I would say, A6 unit, application specific unit in the brain called mirror neurons. It replicates the brain pattern that should be happening inside the mother. You can notice that in the babies, where they're like, mom becomes angry and baby starts to cry randomly, even though mom could be angry on something else. The baby is like, feels very tensed up. It's like, how the heck that's happening? Because of mirror neuron. Mirror neuron is copy pasting that state, basically save state of someone else can be copy pasted into you. And this is a very important development for humans, because this allows us to understand pain and suffering without actually experiencing it. This is the fundamental disc break we have, rather than going just like, what if we boomed it? What if we boomed everybody? What if, like, that absolute cruelty does not happen simply because our mirror neuron applies a disc brake, a hard disc brake, where it's like, nope. And again, you could be psychopath, you could be sociopath, again, how little your mirror neurons are working, and again, how much control you have over them. But inherently, they are there as a good thing. They help a child to grow. They also help us emotional development, because yes, many times you would wanna, like, exploit someone, but why does you stop inherently? Like, you could think about it, right? We say now, like, uh, intrusive thoughts. Why do we think it and we stop? Again, mirror neurons is like, bro, imagine we did that. What will the outcome? It's like, oh, this will not be pleasant. So again, regulation, you do need to regulate it, not too much, not too little, but there is an inherent point to it. And we can feel what others are feeling without actually going through that, what you call, physical system, because many times you can tell this part, and this part is quite common for Asian audience, but I do not think this will be very true for European or American audience. But in Asian culture, it's surprisingly common still to beat the living hell out of your child. And his deal, children can tell very clearly when parents or teachers are disciplining them, or they are just venting their frustration. Like, we can tell that, trust me, we have been through washing machine situations, and yes, everything in kitchen, every utensil which was made out of metals have been used on children, including me. So trust me, I'm telling from experience. And you can actually start to feel, because our mirror neurons starts to feel, it's like, bro, this does not look like, disciplinary action. It feels something else. And that's why, like, it's one of those things that you can easily notice that a child is feeling that. And you will find that, like, sometimes children that has been, like, disciplined reasonably is like very robust, very, very good individual. You're like, I can trust this guy. And same time you could be like, he's so psychopathic, where he's like, he does not even care about his own parents. Why? Because he was exposed to that part. There is a very good disc brake that we need to have on our mirror neurons, and that's, we have to listen to it. We cannot just like, okay, because it's discipline. Because again, if you do let your impulses go through, and if your mirror neurons are not screaming on you, things can get out of hand. And yes, I have seen the consequence of it, so to say. So there is a very good instinct of it. It's like, if you wouldn't like it done to you, don't do it to others. As simple as that. Like, why do you think we can actually communicate with dogs? Like, actually, if you have a dog, you can communicate, like, from very simple things like, are you hungry, are you sad, do you want to be, are you anxious, or something bothering you? Like, where is a direct communication. It's weird and confusing, but there is, like, people who do not have dogs and versus people who have dogs, they're talking. Like, and it's not talking, it's just like I'm speaking to a microphone or something like that. No, it's speaking to an individual. Of course, a very lower, what you call, processing power individual, but an individual. Like, you can see that, like, dogs, and even dogs can understand that. Why? Mirror neurons are helping us. It's almost like a translation layer. And you can notice that between child and a mother, where it's like, a mother can easily tell why the kid is crying. Is kid crying because it's tired or is hungry? It can tell them apart. Mirror neurons helps you in that. And again, we can tame freaking lions, man. Like, why? Because our empathy, that is coming from the hardware level, like, we have good base for empathy. You build some good software on top of that, we good. So mirror is the best tool we have in order to constrain ourselves, in order to conduct ourselves in a way where ethics can prevail, so to say. Then we come to cultural aspect of it. Now, culture is that you, because of the complex nature of it, and because of the fact that you have to learn it, what are you exposed to 24/7? Your culture, the how people around you are behaving. And again, there is a language, a culture. Even though I'm not talking about like spoken language, I'm talking about how they behave, how they conduct themselves. There are places where everything gets physically violent. There are cases where, like, literally, if you piss off someone, poof, can happen. And there are places where they're like, and nobody actually does anything. It's like, everything chills out. And these are culture. And again, these three types of people all can exist in one country. And yes, I live in India, so I know. So trust me, it's one of those things that what you see, you learn, and that becomes your inherent operating system. So culture plays a role. So again, you will find that some cultures value what you call punctuality. Why? It's not something you are teaching in school. Thou shall be punctual. You are not teaching them. You are just like, you are being that. You are seeing that in your parents. You are seeing that in your teachers. You are seeing that in your senior colleagues. And all of that slowly starts to morph people into like, hey, everybody's like, if people do it correctly, you immigrate to Germany and you're like, hey, I'm precise on time, except their railway, apparently. I do not know. I have only a few relatives in Germany, but never talked about the railway. Apparently, it's really not on time. But you get the point. Like, our elders around us creates the what you call foundation of operating system. And culture is the behavior pattern for the in-group. Same thing, same action, same stimuli can cause different reaction in different peoples, even though they could be same religion, same country. That's why we say like culture matters more than you like, oh, it's the religion. No, rarely. And if you ever think like, oh, religion this, nah man, you haven't gone deep enough. Like you barely, basically you're running on camera rather than microscope. So once you have that, like if you say Hindu in India, that's nothing. If you say that to an Indian, that means nothing to them. It's like, bro, you are missing way too much data. It's like, where do you live? India. Bro, how about telling some state? How about telling some district? How about telling some caste? And like, there is like so much data missing. It's like, again, if you try to find things in Wikipedia, you have to know a lot more, because again, Wikipedia has everything. So that in group, and that's what you have to understand culture wise. And again, same in Hindu, same in Muslim, same in Christians. Everybody has their own ecosystem, so to say, and different cultural behavior. Again, why do you think Japanese people they bow down for sorry, saying sorry, and other cultures are like, you have to look in the eye and say sorry. And again, when you are guilty, you look down. It's like different cultures, different behavior. I was never sure about like, why the heck somebody will, quote unquote, punish people in their birthday, until I went to hostels, and then like, normal. Then we come to another aspect, humility. Humility is one of those things. It's like, it allows us to calm down a bit. It applies some disc brake to our ego, where we don't know everything. We have to accept it. Like, you don't know everything, I don't know everything, nobody knows everything, and nor can we ever. Like, this is flat out. If you're like, I want to learn everything, that's a good aim to have. But if you're like, I know everything, yeah, run, bro, run. You went short circuit. You bro, it's like bad things have happened. Humility helps out in our actions, because if you're humble, your actions have a bit more measurement to it. You do not just like blah, you actually think through it. And humility gives you some caution, whereas like, what if I don't go nuke on the first try? What if I just, warning shots? That's why humility matters here in this case. And it's one of the best tool we have. Humility is as a tool. It's one of the best tool that allows us to not get polarized. For example, there was a scenario in Japan. It's a very popular example that without any enforcement, a bad situation happened. Bank run happened, or was happening. So if you do not understand about banking, you have to understand every money that goes into the bank gets divided into what we call fractional reserve system. So you put $100 in, does not mean there is only $100. It magically becomes $10,000 and then gets distributed. So if you actually start to try to collect your $100, they can give you, as long as everybody else does not do the same thing. Because again, there was 100 that was spread out. So if circulation is always exponentially larger than what bank physically has. So if everybody goes to the bank, and I do not mean physically as in like the physical currency, even in digital balance, it will like, yeah, bro, we don't actually have that. That's why if everybody tried to pull their money out from bank system, and because they would have given everything into loans, they would be stuck. They would not have enough. They have to keep some reserve. It's like, okay, at least 10% of people should be able to withdraw 100% of their amount without any issue. 20% after, bad situations and all that. But this happened in Japan. Everybody started to go to bank, start to withdraw money. People pick up the phone, government is notified, government says, please let them in and give them the best you can do, because if a lot of people start to pile up in front of bank, that will trigger a panic. Now here's the deal. This is the government and the banks. They are doing their best to handle the situation. Okay, what did the news media did at that time? Somehow, multiple news media, there were not hundreds of news media, but there were a few of them, not one, few. All of them willingly, knowingly, without consulting with each other, they decided to, you know what, this news does not need to be shared. We can make a decision. Collectively, they made a decision, and bank run was, delayed, because again, not everybody knew about it. And because of that, they were like this uncomfort point, which is like, whoo, everything chilled down. But if everybody's like, this is a bank run, please take your money out, because if you don't, bank will collapse, and that will happen. So it's one of those things that reacting to it could become very bad idea. So how the heck a society can do that? Well, it has to be not polarized. If we live in a polarized world, nothing like this will happen. Every decision would be like 50% against, 50% for, 50% boom, 50% boom. So this boom is a very bad thing. And why does that happen? Again, humility. It starts to reach a point where it's like people are titillating. It's like, this is the full point. And they're like, and again, if you have humility, you will know, even if somebody is telling you 100% of the fact, you will be wise enough to know it's like, Just because you are telling me 100% does not mean I can process 100%, and I will not take a leap of faith as like absolutely everything I am understanding. It's like you can talk to a doctor. Doctor will tell you exactly what's wrong with you. Do you actually understand? I do like that Dr. House. There was one episode there they clarified. The doctor was like, "Bro, I can explain all of it, but unless you have a medical degree, you do not understand what I'm talking about." So it's one of those things. Some point you have to take a humility, like. And that's why like many cultures have the idea of like elders teaching elders feet, and like again teaching touching someone's feet in a humility manner allows us to become humbled, whereas like in our case it's a like elderly, they have seen things. Okay, you are thinking that I have seen things. It's like elders are like, bro, been there, done that, got that. That's old school for us, literally old school for us. So we have this sort of culture. Every culture has that. Again, different behavior pattern would be built to display that, but it's there. Like for example, this is a very amazing story of a monk, so to say, who was a devout Buddha fan, and this area, this river, was really what you call hazardous, so to say. And that time people were building small boats and they were going across it, and lot of them, it was very hazardous. Now the monk went through there, like preaching about the god, and he did not like it. He was like, bro, this is not good. So he communicated with the gods. Like he got a feeling where it's like, if I built Buddha here watching over the like this area, it will tame the rivers down. So he started to build on this, like, and he collected people. He took some what you call donations, and he started to work on it. And the more he started to work, the more people were like, oh, there's actually some good things is happening. And then they are like, okay, let's more donation happened. The more people started to pour in, and enough money was being funneled here that some corrupt officials from the empire department, they are like, hey, what if you give us the money? And it's like, and as a threat, it's like, if you didn't give it, we'll take your eyes. Like to the monk, they said, like, we'll take your eyes. And the monk was so devoted, it's like he just gave them the eyes flat out. I'm like, damn. That level of humility, that level of absolute dedication is like, damn. And after that, none of them bothered it. And he just completed this whole statue. Again, of course, with the help of people and all that, with with his inner vision, so to say. And ironically, because so much stone was like, chipped away from here and put on the bottom of the river became tame. So this statue has like amazing amount of story behind it. Like there is a saying, if legs are ever visible, run. Buddha cannot clean your sins. It's like, if as long as water is till this level, everything is good. If water ever, bad. When CCP was elected, so that's the whole point. Like it allows us to not get polarized. It allows us to handle the anger wisely. It's like, am I damn sure that I know everything about it? And again, even if you understand it, it's like, you will start to attribute things to incompetence rather than malice. So you will be less angry. And this core of ethical decision, if you do not have humility, the likelihood of you actually making a good ethical decision would be just random. Then we come to the most painful thing that we have to learn is patience. Now, why patience is hard? Now, again, do not beat yourself up too much if you're like, hey, I'm not patient, I want to be more patient. It is hard for us. Why it's hard for us? Well, we evolved from prey species, not predator species. If you look into animals or leopards or things like that, they chill out. Like that, I did not even know that sunbathing was a thing in animals. It's like, yeah, just chilling out. It's like, what the hell? How the heck that's possible? Again, because they did not have natural predators. Again, they could have attacked from other things, but the natural chill level was quite high compared to us. The chill level was not that high. We were always vulnerable, scared of anything. And again, this is on a DNA level. Basically, our hardware and firmware level, it's not chill. So it's a very serious issue. What does that mean? That simply means whenever you are confronted, whenever you are a bit sad, whenever you are a bit agitated, your flight and flight response are activated. Like that things goes into gear before you even know that gear is being applied. It's like you do not even have clutch. It's just like gear applied, bro, go. So this fight to flight response is like a very inherent thing. That's why inherently patience is so hard to understand. Now, what does that mean? What should you do? Well, here's the simple solution. Whatever is your first thought, apply disc break to it. Do not ever say it. Like if you ever notice, like some people are like so well spoken and other people respect them, I can guarantee you inside their head, this is what's happening. How about this? That's all that's happening. Never ever let your first thought out. Never. Like it's in first thing they teach you in writing schools and all that. Never have your first draft. Like throw away the first draft. That's why I say like Mark 1 is always garbage. Mark 2 is something useful. So same thing. Apply that to your own mind, your own brain, your own thoughts. You'll be like, huh. I was about to say something super stupid. I was about to say something that would have made situation worse. So All these things play a role. That's the easiest thing you can do, and you will, again, it's a very hard thing. It's not that I'm already successfully doing it, but I've tried my darn best whenever, especially when I'm interacting with other people. It's just like, apply disc break, think before you speak. And I have to say that it has paid off. And again, not perfect, not there, but much better than what I used to be. And this poem is a very amazing anchor for humanity. It's like, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know what's the difference. Where do you think the wisdom will come from? Wisdom will come from you applying breaks with patience. And courage, where do you think courage will come from? It will come from humility, because that humility will actually allow you to figure out, can I actually change this or can I not change this? So again, you need breaks and you need time after that. Like, you apply breaks and you need some, like, I don't know anything. So apply breaks that stops your instant reaction. Then behind that, you have another system. Humility is like, I do not have all the fact. Now, if you let the brain simmer through that point, like, crunch your thoughts through that, you would be shocked how refined your decision becomes, how ethical your decisions become. Because these things are the core fundamentals. Why do you think we say patience is a virtue? Patience itself is, you can say, lazy also. But again, if you let your brain crunch through it, you're like, my brain knows things. It can do things. That's why you always need to have patience, just to let your brain think. Nothing else. Just let your brain think. Crunch through the information. Crunch through it. Have some humility where it's like, I do not have all the facts. So it will tame your reactions. Patience will allow you to have the time to reach to that point where you're like, okay, I'm applying some taming breaks. So, all these things pile up into having a situation where your mind is very calm. It's not perfect. It's not greatest. It's just like, I got this. I can manage it. And you will improve day by day. So this was my presentation on ethics, or like basically how do we apply ethics and what other core complexities goes into it. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please hit the like button, share it amongst friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.